Alright guys, let's continue from where we left off. So we finished up these bumps in the last video and the holes and everything. So now we're going to make these panels over here in this video and try to finish it so we can move on next to this one. So let's start by making the panels. We're going to go into front view or back view in my case, and let's press shift and S and choose cursor to center. Let's add in a mesh circle, right? And we're going to change the vertices down to say 18, or say let's say 12. All right, so change it down to 12 or 15. Let's try 15 instead, like that. Now we're going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to scale this down and move this up here like that. Now let's enable this. Let's enable this here, so that let's disable it so that we can see the vertices through the object. So just disable it so it can be visible through the object. So I'm going to move this to the center. This is what we're making right now, the center one over here. So let's try to get this right. So it's about over there, like that. Alright, so we're going to move this forward to this axis now. Try to keep it above it like that. I'm going to go back to the front of the coffee machine. Now let's press F on the keyboard and let's press I to insert the faces. This is what we're inserting. The inner part over here is what we're inserting. So I think that is about right. Now we're going to move this forward, in the y-axis in my case, to about there. And let's move the whole thing forward a little bit, like that. Now let's select the back one, press E and then Y, and let's move this back like this to the surface. Let's move the whole thing in a little bit to about there, and let's bring this out a little bit to about there. So that is what we have now. So I'm going to select the face here. Sorry guys. So I'm going to select the face here, and then we're going to press E and extrude this inside here to the surface here, and then press X and delete the face like that. So now let's add in a subdivision surface. Set it up to 2 over here like that, and let's add in a bevel modifier as well. So search for bevel modifier and select it, and then change the limit method to weight. Alright, so we're now going to specify which side of the object we want to bevel. So go into edge select mode, select this edge here and that edge here, and press N, and then go all the way up here in the edges data button. Change the mean bevel weight to 1 like that. Change the segments to say 3 or something. Okay, let's move this below. Does that work? Yeah, I think it works. It works. So just move the bevel modifier above the subdivision surface, and now let's change the weight till we have it about sharp. So let's drop this to 0 and let's start increasing. So let's try 0.00, say 5. Press T and then choose smooth shading. And let's take a look at this. So this looks, I think, about it. Let's just drop it down a little bit to like 0.003. Yeah, I think that looks better. Now we're going to go into edit mode, go into vertex select mode, go back to the object mode, press Ctrl I and hide those objects. Now select this, press period to zoom down on it. Select these 4 objects here, vertices here, press F. Select these 2 now and keep your hand on the F to fill the whole thing. Now go back to edge select mode, select this, select that, and increase the edges bevel weight to 1 like that to bevel it as well. Now press Alt and H, press Alt and H to bring back everything else, and let's put this right on the surface. So I'm going to go back to perspective view for much precision, and then let's move this in the y-axis until it is flush up against that surface there, like that. I think that is good. Yeah, so like that. Now I think this bump is coming out a little bit too much, so I'm going to move it in a little bit to about there, like that. I think that is good. So now I'm going to go into front view, the front of the coffee machine, select this, and I'm going to go into edit mode, select the whole thing, press shift and D, and then move it in the x-axis like this. Move it to about here, and then scale it down to about that size. Let's move it a little bit here, I think. Let's scale it up a little bit more. I think that is about good. So we're gonna press shift and D. Oh, hold on, let's put this on the surface first. So I'm gonna move close to it, change into perspective view, and we're gonna move this back. Let's disable the limit selection to visible. Let's enable it, and then let's move this in until it sticks through just a little bit like that. Now I'm gonna go back to the front view, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the faces in here. So go to face select mode, hold Alt, and then click in the middle here to select the whole inner face there. Now press P and separate the selection. Once you do that, press Ctrl and Z to undo that. Once you separate the selection, press Ctrl and Z to undo that, and it will bring back your face, but it will also keep the new object you separated, like that. So now select that new object, and let's go in here, select the whole thing, go back to the front view of the object, and let's scale this in a little bit. Alright, so instead of the standard scaling, we're not going to use the standard scaling, we're going to shrink this instead. So press Alt and S to enable shrink, and then move this in just a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's try again. Just a little bit like that. Let's do it a little bit more. So we're going to bring it a little bit in more like that. Alright, so Alt and S to shrink, and bring it in like that. So now I'm going to select the faces here, the edges, the vertices here, and I'm going to press F like that. So I think this one has a mean bevel weight of 1. All of the vertices here have a mean bevel weight of 1. That is why we are having that bevel there. If not, if it didn't have that, this is what it would look like. But since it has it, it's keeping it like that. Now let's select all of the vertices by pressing A once or twice, and then press Ctrl and N to recalculate the normal like that. So now we select these once again, and let's insert a little face inside it. So press I to insert the face to about there, and then keep it in there like that. So that is what we have now, like that. So what we're going to do next is to take this one and then that one, and then let's press Ctrl and J to join them together. So press Ctrl and J to join them together like that, so they are all one object now. So get into edit mode, go to the front view of the coffee machine, select these two objects by pressing L on each of the objects, press shift and D, and then instantly press X to move this in the X axis and move it to about here. I'm taking a look at the space between them over here, and I think that is about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this to the other side as well, but we don't want to select the whole thing and duplicate it and move it there. It might not be in the right position. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to select this one. So press A to deselect everything, press L while hovered over this one, and then press shift and S and choose cursor to select it. Alright, now press A to deselect that one, press L while hovered over this one, select each of the object, and change the pivot point to 3D cursor like that. Now I'm going to scale this by -1, so it will duplicate to the other side after we duplicate it. So first of all, just follow what I'm doing. First of all, just press shift and D, and now it's duplicated, and I'll press S to scale, and then press X to scale in the X axis, then type in -1 to duplicate it there, like that. So now you want to change, you can see the normals are flipped, so just press Ctrl and N to recalculate the normals like that. And now we have the buttons on there, like that. So that worked out very well. So what we're going to do next is to create that screen in there for this surface we're seeing here, sort of this pressure or whatever that is. So let's select this one. Let's go back into edit mode. And let's select this, press period to get in there. And now I'm going to press Shift and D on this. And then right click to keep it there. After you press Shift and D, just right click to keep it at that exact place. It has duplicated, but it kept it at that exact place. So we're just going to scale this in a little bit. So just press S, then scale it in just a little bit, like that. Once you have that, just move it forward to about looking down here. So you can see I moved it forward just a little bit to there, like that. And I'll press F to fill in the surface, like that. It's still selected right there. And that is going to be our surface there. Now we just have to create the glass in front of that surface, because I'm pretty sure there's a glass over there. So all we have to do is to just press Shift and D and press Y, and then move this forward to about say to about there, like that. Yeah. And let's solidify this particular one now. So this is the only thing we want to solidify. We don't want to solidify everything else, but it's part of this object. So when we add in the solidify, it is going to affect all of them. So in order to do that, we're just going to separate this into its own object, the screen here. So just press P and separate the selection, like that. And now select the new object and then add in a solidify. Remove the bevel modifier, like that. And then decrease this down to about a thin glass, like that. And the only reason I added in a solidify was that in Blender, if you want to add in a glass object and it's only a surface, the light won't move through as well. And I'll explain that when we are texturing or giving these stuffs material. I'll show you what I meant by that. So let's just keep it like that, add in the solidify and drop it to about there, like this. So that is the glass. And since it's the glass, we want to make this come into us, because as you can see there's a little gap here. We want to scale this up until that gap is almost filled, but we don't want it to intersect this as well. So just select the whole thing, press Alt and S and move this up until it's almost touching it, like that. So when you hide that, you have the inner side where we'll be having this images at, like that. So press Alt and H to bring back the glass, like that. Now finally we're going to make this thing over here. I can't really get a good look what it is, but I also think it's a circular panel with just a straight edge button on it, like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to get in here, select this, click on this one, press that one and this one, press Shift and D in the X axis, like that. Press change the pivot point to bounding box, press R, rotate in the Z axis and press 90 to make it like that. Now move it on this side, get to the side view, like this. We're going to scale this up a little bit, like that. And I'm going to move it back in here, like this, like that. Now I'm going to take this, we're going to move that back as well. So say up to about here, and then let's get onto the side, and we're going to scale this in to about there, like that. And now I'm going to add in 3 of these edge loops here, like this. And I'm going to select this, press Ctrl and B to bevel it, and give it an amount to about this, and scroll up to add in an extra edge loop like that. And now select the middle one here, press G and then X and move this in like this. So you have this looking line in there. So select the whole thing here by moving your mouse over the object and pressing L, and then move this out to about there. Select the edge here now, press E and then X and move this in here like this on the surface. Now add in an edge loop here, bring it closer to this side. Or let's just use the bevel instead. So we're going to select this, press N, go up here and increase. Okay, it's already 1. Now to make sure all the others don't have a mean bevel width, here's what we're going to do. We're going to select that one, press press L while hovered over this, press L, and then hold Alt and Shift and deselect this one, and then change the mean bevel width to 0, like that, so that the bevel modifier isn't affecting them as much. So now this is what we have. We're going to select this now, and then we're going to press F, and we'll hit I to insert the faces just a little bit like that. I'm going to go here, press E, and then move this in here like this to about there. Now I'm going to press X and delete those faces like that. Now I'm going to select this and increase the mean bevel width to 1 as well on that. So with that, now we are going to select the inner faces here again. So change to face select, hold Alt and click here to select those faces. Press P, separate that selection, and instantly press Ctrl Z to bring that back. And now we have our new object here. So select that object, scale it in just, instead let's shrink it. Shrink it in just a little bit like, so let me take a look here. Shrink it in just a little bit like that. Now let's get out. And let's select the vertices here and press F like this. Alright, and now let's hit I to insert the faces to about here, and then let's move it out a little bit. Select the whole thing and press Ctrl and N to recalculate the normals. Move this out a little bit more like that, like this, and let's press Ctrl and R, scroll up till we have 2, left click and then right click, and then we're going to move this out a little bit like that to have that kind of bevel around it like that. Now I'm going to select these ones here, increase the mean bevel width to 1 to have a bevel over there like that. Select this one, hit I again to insert to about there, and then let's move it out a little bit more to have it rounded like that. So you can see how nice that is looking. So nice. Now let's get onto the side again. Here, go in here and select all the vertices. Press Shift and S and choose Cursor to select it. Now add in a mesh cube like this. Scale it down to about there, and then scale it in the Y-axis down to about there. Let's scale it down a little bit more like that, and then scale it in the X-axis. Let's move this out. Scale it in the X-axis like that. Scale it a little bit more, and let's move this to here. Scale it in the X-axis a little bit more like that. And now let's add in about 3 edge loops in here. Left click then right click to keep it there like that. Now let's delete the inner faces in there. So just select this object, press Ctrl and I, and then press H to hide all the other objects. Select this, get in here and select these faces on the inside here. Press X and delete those faces. Now add in a subdivision surface. Set it up to 2 and press T and choose smooth shading. In fact, let's set this up to 3 for this. And in this case, we're going to apply the bevel the subdivision surface. But before we do that, let's let's bevel this a little bit. So select all of this, select all of that on the sides, and press I to insert the faces. As soon as you do that, press T and disable boundary to move this all the way to that side. Now you can see what I made there. Now select the edge select mode, Control R, and scroll up till we have about 5 cuts down there, 5 cuts, and then put it here. Left click, then right click, hold Alt and Shift, deselect this, deselect that, press X, and dissolve the edges. Now you can see what we have. So now we're going to apply the subdivision surface like that. Now you can see we have all this bunch of faces. Select this edge here. First of all, press Alt and H to bring back the other objects. Now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to move it out to about here. Select these edges here now. Those edges. Press Ctrl and I, and then hide the other vertices. And then move on to the right side. Select the rest of the vertices we have left. Move down here and change this. Press Enter, hide this. Change this to face. And then enable this tool over here. It says project individual elements on the surface of other objects. Enable it like that, and then press G. Then hold Control. After you press G, don't move it, don't move your mouse. Just press G, and once you press G, I think the best way to do this is leave your mouse alone. Don't touch your mouse. Leave it alone. Press G on your keyboard. Hold down your Control. With your hand on the Control, press Enter. And now you can see what happened here. Our vertices were flashed up against this round surface here. If you press Ctrl Z, you can see what happened there. Alright. Now press Alt and H to bring back all the others like that. So this is what we have now. Okay. So I'm going to deselect this. First of all, select the whole thing, deselect this, and I'm going to move it out like that a little bit to give it a little bit of space. Like that. Now I'm going to press Ctrl and R, press E, and then F, and I'm going to move this close to the side. We're going to add one more in the middle, like that. And I'm going to select the edge here, and I'm going to press Alt and S, alright, and then scale it out like this. Alt and S, and then shrink it out like that. And now here's what we're going to do. We're going to select this object, and I'm going to add in a shrink wrap modifier. And with these vertices selected here, go into the object data buttons, and then under vertex group, add in a new group. Press the plus sign, add in a new group, and then with those vertices selected, click on assign to assign those vertices to it. Now move back here, put that vertices in a group here, and then select the target for the shrink wrap, which is this round surface here. So just use that eyedropper and select it. So now you can see that edge there is flashing up against this over here. So with that done, what we're going to do next is we're going to add in a data transfer modifier here. And then we're going to select this, and then select the surface here, and I'm going to enable face corner data custom normals as well. And I'm going to select the vertex and select group. And I'm going to go into the object data buttons and enable auto smooth. Alright, so you can see what that did there. It faked out the object as though it is attached to the surface here. So in order to fix this hard edge over here, what we're going to do is add in another subdivision surface here, like this. Let's move the subdivision surface above, and now you can see that smoothing it out, and now it makes it look as though it is attached to that surface, but it's a different object on its own. So that is what the data transfer modifier does. So just add in your subdivision surface, change it to 1, and then move this above the data transfer modifier like that. And then just follow everything else, and you'll get this right, like this. So that will do it for this particular video. We'll just save this over, and let's hide this here. We'll now just save this over like that, and we'll continue in the next video.